Parents, this is exactly how one of my students, Austin, increased his SAT score from a 1350 to a 1520 in 12 weeks, and how your team can do exactly the same. For those of you guys who don't know me yet, my name is Jared Wynn. I'm the founder and director of Geometry Gurus SAT Prep. And at this point in my career, I've helped hundreds of students increase their SAT scores so that they can go to their dream colleges or qualify for scholarships. With that being said, let's get straight into it. A little bit about Austin. Austin came into this program scoring consecutive 1350s on 3 SATs. So he was a little frustrated coming into this program because he already had this idea that he was giving up and that it was impossible for him to get to that 1500 mark. And you should have seen him on our enrollment call. On our enrollment call, you could tell the kid did not want to be here. He was just like, man, I have to do another SAT prep program, because his family had him enrolled in multiple SAT prep programs prior to this to do all 3 of those SATs. Now, when I asked Austin, well, why do you feel like you didn't improve? And he was saying, okay, well, they didn't diagnose anything that I actually needed help with, right? Everyone did the same material. And because everyone was doing the same material, it was not really pertaining to my specific needs. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and let's go over a plan. So this is exactly what we did with him. The first step that we did with Austin is we did what we call here the efficiency index. Okay, the efficiency index. Now, a lot of students, they think that they need to work on everything, every single concept on the SAT. And that's how most test prep platforms and that's how most tutors actually run their programs, is they teach everything to everyone. There are 64 SAT concepts that show up on every single exam. Only needed to work on 12 to 15 of them, right? Because usually what happens is this. For every concept that you get wrong or you don't understand, that typically costs you 10 points on the exam. So that 150 points that he was missing was hidden in these 12 to 15 concepts. So we needed to figure out exactly what was the real constraint that was preventing him from getting to that 1500. Okay, we have to do a comprehensive diagnostic process on him so we can see, hey, which problems are you spending too much time on? Which problems are you consistently getting wrong? And which ones are you kind of having a combination of both? Only then do we start prepping him. You cannot do prep without diagnosing first, guys. It doesn't make any sense. It's like if you go to the doctor and the doctor just gives you a bunch of random pills before doing any diagnostics on you. He's going to go to jail. Now, we figured out with Austin that he thought he had an issue with advanced math because that's what he was getting wrong. But really, it was because the geometry and trigonometry that he was working with, he was spending way too much time on those problems. He was spending on average 3 minutes on those problems. He was getting them correct, but because he was spending so much time on those problems, by the time he got to the advanced math problems, he didn't have enough time to actually do them, right? So even when he was trying to diagnose and retarget his own weaknesses, he was focusing on the wrong things, okay? So that's why the efficiency index is so important. The second step that we had to do with Austin was that we had to do what we call here the pressure protocol. Okay, the pressure protocol. Now, the pressure protocol is once we understand exactly which of the 64 SAT concepts that Austin actually needed the most help on, now we gave him real SAT problems that mimic the same types of problems that he was missing right now or back then, except we made sure that those problems were timed and we made sure that they were slightly harder than the real SAT. Before, Austin was telling me that his biggest issue was that everyone worked on the same material no matter where they were. If they were at 1100, at 1300, 1400, right? It doesn't matter. They were giving them the same material. It wasn't targeted, but also they were not working in an environment that was timed or hard at all, right? Austin would just go through the entire packet and there was so much time left over, he was just kind of falling asleep at his desk, okay? That's unacceptable. You cannot be doing that because A, it doesn't simulate any type of pressure that you're going to see on the real thing, but also there's no real structure to that, right? You need to be in an environment that is structured and actually, systematically attacks the weaknesses that were exposed in the efficiency index, okay? So that's why it's so important to identify, then retarget, and then continuously retarget them with slightly harder problems in a timed environment. A lot of your teens are student athletes. Your coaches always tell you, right? Hey, You practice the way you play the way you practice. There's absolutely no difference between that and SAT. Okay? Now, step number 3 is what we call here the test simulation. The test simulation. So here's where a lot of students go wrong. A lot of students, they either A, they don't work with enough diagnostic exams, or B, they work with diagnostic exams that are just way too easy in comparison to the real thing. Austin was more on the second one. He was using diagnostics that were way too easy. He was using the Blue Book exams. He was using Princeton Review exams with his coaches before this, right? And he was scoring like 1,500, 1,550 on the Blue Book exams, but obviously he was scoring nowhere close to that on the real exams. What we had to do with him was that we needed to use tests that were slightly harder than the real thing. So that by the time he saw the real thing, he was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to clock in, I'm going to clock out, right? It feels like any other Saturday for him. Most importantly is this as well. You cannot diagnose weaknesses on a test that is just way too easy because you're not going to get anything wrong. You're not going to spend too much time on it, right? So you need to make sure that the test is hard enough to really expose weaknesses that otherwise you would not have seen. Now, guess what? We do step 3. Automatically, what does that do? That puts us straight back in. Wow, my marker sucks. It takes you straight back in to the efficiency index. And we just repeat the process over and over and over again. Now, why did this process work so well for Austin? Because he was extremely consistent. He wouldn't just do this process one time. You need to do this process multiple times, around 10 to 12 times for most students. Because every single time you go through this process, it's about a week-long process, okay? So it's not enough just do it once. You got to do a little bit of work every single day. You got to do the efficiency index every week, the pressure protocol every single week, the test simulation every single week. Cannot just do it one time. All right, family, that's it for today's video. That is the step-by-step process in which Austin used to increase his score from a 1350 to a 1520 in less than 12 weeks. If you guys need help applying this strategy to your team's specific weaknesses or specific situation, go ahead and send me an email or send me a DM. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. No obligations. Until then, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.